Welcome everyone, Adam the Woo here. Look at that beautiful tree. Creating shade, not only creating shade, but also in the shade, from the shade that it created. What a weird circle of goodness that tree has created in the shade-id form. It's my second channel, daily blog channel. It's the Daily Woo, and it is hump day, it is Wednesday, it is that day everyone knows and love, affectionately known as the halfway point of the school week, the work week, that exciting day when you can say to yourself, what I have gotten myself into, the conundrum of the week process, the rat racedness, is halfway over. The sun will be shining through the shade very soon, and you have a weekend to look forward to closer than it was yesterday. That's why this day, this Wednesday, is affectionately known as Hump Day. That is not the Wikipedia explanation. That is the Adam the Woo explanation. What makes you happy? What makes you joyous inside? We're not talking about monetary things. We're not talking about things of that sort of nature. I'm talking about something that is a sentimental value, a sentimental memory that you still love and enjoy. One of my favorite things, well, a few of my favorite things, are definitely a nice, crisp Mountain Dew. I'm not sponsored by Mountain Dew. A lot of people think things in my video means that I'm sponsored by certain people. I am not really sponsored by anyone, and I'm certainly not sponsored by Mountain Dew as much as I wish I was. PepsiCo, if you're out there listening, the Pepsi Corporation, if you want to send me a couple cases of Mountain Dew, I'll be more than happy to drink them, because I honestly drink this delicious beverage every morning, and I have since 1985. And what else in 1985 is a great memory for me? I'm talking about Back to the Future. Back to the Future is my all-time favorite movie. I love the trilogy, but I love part one more than I love anything else about Back to the Future. More than I love the watches that have come out. More than I've loved, you hear my voice crack? More, what am I going through, puberty? I'm 40 years old, and my voice is cracking because I'm reverting back to my 1985 young, pre-teen self. And puberty is actually starting to develop again, because when I think about Back to the Future, 1985, my favorite movie, I get very excited. And I'm even more excited because what is in my pocket right now than this? I got this last night. Look at this. This may not seem exciting to you, or maybe it will seem exciting to you. I posted this on Instagram last night, and it got a heck of a lot of thumbs up and comments, which it pretty much means that a lot of other people are with me on their joy for Back to the Future. But I have actually I actually went and purchased this. I went to a store last night and I found this. It's very hard to find on Blu-ray. On DVD you can get it. But this is the 25th anniversary set of the Blu-rays from Back to the Future Part 1 and Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3. The 25th anniversary trilogy. It's almost actually the 30th anniversary now. They released the 25th anniversary edition. Gosh, it would have been 4 years ago now, and I'm just now getting this because I have been traveling around in my van for the last 3 or 4 years. I have not had a home to sit and watch DVDs, and this whole Blu-ray technology is really taking over by storm. I watched a little bit of this last night and was very excited to see the crispness, the HD-edness of Michael J. Fox and Chris Lloyd, and the crispness of Crispin Glover festooning himself through, that did not sound right, Crispin Glover festooning himself through the television into my eye sockets that I could see him in very, very great quality. So I know it's a little late to do a Blu-ray review, and I have not even watched the movies yet on Blu-ray, but I am very excited. I want to share my excitement with you about this Back to the Future trilogy, the Blu-ray disc editions. And look at this. All 3 Blu-rays. Part 1, which is my favorite. Part 2, and of course, Part 3. Now, Part 1 and Part 2, you might remember that my buddy Justin Scard from Live Fast Die Poor helped me out quite a bit, and we actually traveled around over the last couple of years. The last couple of times I've been in California, we actually did the filming locations from part 1 and part 2. And spoiler alert, soon, very soon, Justin Scard and I will be rooting and traveling around California and other areas to film the elusive Back to the Future Part 3 filming locations, which no one, in my opinion, has actually done a legitimate Back to the Future Part 3 filming location. That's where I come in. I'm going to harness my knowledge and my excitement about the Back to the Future trilogy and complete Justin Scard and I's task of doing all 3 filming locations. Go over to my TheDailyWoo channel. Please subscribe to the TheDailyWoo channel. It's absolutely free, as well as this DailyWoo channel. You can subscribe and keep up with my adventures every day. What I know, what I love, going to abandoned places, going to theme parks, a lot of theme parks, abandoned places, movie locations on this DailyWoo unedited vlog, but even more edited down and quote-unquote epic, if you will, filming locations, abandoned stuff, and other wacky roadside attractions on the TheDailyWoo channel. It is free to subscribe if you have a YouTube channel or a YouTube account, I should say. All you gotta do is click subscribe. Go over to the TheDailyWoo channel and just search in the taskbar TheDailyWoo Back to the Future, and you will see part 1 filming locations, part 2 filming locations. Part 3 has not been done yet. Later in the year, before the end of 2015, which is the 30th anniversary of Back to the Future Part 1, there will be a Back to the Future Part 3 filming location video up. Now that I have the Blu-ray, even though I've seen part 3 probably 100 times, here's something very interesting. Part 1, right over here. I have actually seen part 1. People always throw this at me and they say, there's no way you've seen it this many times. But I have actually seen part 1 over 1,000 times. And a lot of people say, that is physically impossible. How could you watch a movie 1,000 times? I've actually been watching it since 1985. I've owned countless amount of VHS, countless amount of the DVDs. And I've actually gone through phases in my life, back when I had my apartment years and years ago, that I would actually watch Back to the Future Part 1 every single night, sometimes for a month at a time. So 30 days in a row, I would watch Back to the Future Part 1 and analyze it. I've made this assumption before where some people actually listen to the radio and they listen to songs. They listen to songs on repeat. Think of your favorite song and how many times you've listened to that. Well, that's basically how I watch movies, and especially how I watch Back to the Future Part 1. I actually have a Back to the Future tattoo on my leg, which I will not show you now, but if you want to see it, I actually show it in the very first Back to the Future Part 1 filming location video that Justin Scard and I did. So go over there and check that out on the TheDailyWoo channel. Why do I love Back to the Future? I can't really wrap my head around it. A lot of it probably has to do with, I was 11 years old in 1985 when I first saw it. We didn't watch a lot of movies. We were not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination. We were a lower middle class family. We used to actually rent a video cassette recorder, a VHS cassette, a VCR, if you will. They actually used to rent them from video stores, and we would rent Back to the Future about once a month. And then my dad or my mom, I'm not sure who found it, but they actually found a used copy of Back to the Future on VHS that they bought. That and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So those 2 movies, in 1985, I probably watched close to anywhere from 50 to 100 times in the first year. So just in the first year, I saw Back to the Future Part 1 at least 50 or more times. And since then, continued to watch it. I honed myself in on the facts and the figures and the trivia, everything about Part 1. When I say Back to the Future, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm a massive fan of the sequels. I do like the sequels, but Part 1 for me is the pinnacle. Part 2 I love, and Part 3 I really like a lot, more than I like other movies. So let's just put it that way. Let's say Part 3, even though it is not my favorite of the trilogy, is still one of my favorites compared to other movies that have come out. So Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 are in my top 3 favorite films. For me, personally and sentimentally, from being a child, growing up, Back to the Future boy, right here. TheDailyWoo. I don't know if I'm the biggest Back to the Future fan in the world. There's a lot of Back to the Future fans. One thing that's interesting about Back to the Future is I meet other guys in my demographic, my age range, and there's something about Back to the Future that is very heartfelt. There's a lot of us that love Star Wars as well, and Indiana Jones, All those are great movies. All those I hail as classic, untouchable films when it comes to being awesome, cinematic 80s goodness. But something about Back to the Future, and those of you who are watching this that understand the Back to the Future fandom know that Back to the Future-isms has a little bit more excitement than those other movies. Something about us Back to the Future fans separates our nerdery, our goodness for film nerdery, from the rest of those other cultural icon films. I don't know what it is. Do you guys have any idea what it is about Back to the Future that touches my demographic? There are a lot of females. When I say demographic, I'm talking about males. I'm a male, around 40 years old, or at least my age range that grew up on Back to the Future. What is it about Back to the Future that is so poignant into our heads and stays fresh in our minds forever? That's the question I pose to you. This isn't really a DVD or a Blu-ray review, but I just wanted to share the excitement of what I got. And this would seem very minimal in excitement to most people. You would say, I have lots of Blu-rays in my house. I've had that Blu-ray for years and years and years, which might be true. But for me, I actually now have a home that I can call my own. I'm starting to slowly get some things. I actually got a couch recently. I was laying on my couch watching the special features on part 1. I have not watched the movie on Blu-ray yet, which I will hopefully do either tonight or tomorrow. But last night I did pop it in. The Blu-ray, I have a Blu-ray player and a TV and a couch. This is blowing my mind, the fact that I am able to watch Back to the Future behind the scenes featurettes. The music video by Huey Lewis and the News is also on here. And I'm able to watch all 3 of these fantastic classic films on Blu-ray. It really means a lot to me because the last few years I have really not owned anything. And I own very little now, but one of the few things that I own, oh yes, one of the few things that I own now is one of my favorite things in the world. I love Disneyland. There's something about walking into the front gates of Disneyland, walking around underneath the train station, and then seeing Main Street USA. Even though I've been there 100+ times, when I walk in there, I get that special feeling in my heart and in my soul. It's a joy. It's a happy place of mine. Whenever I drink Mountain Dew, even though I'm not sponsored by them, which I wish I was actually sponsored by this company, the Mountain Dew company, which I'm not. But every time I take a swig of this delicious beverage, I find not only the joy that goes down to my nether regions and in my throat regions, quenching my thirst and making myself non-thirsty anymore, wetting my whistle, if you will, but it brings me back to my youth. It brings that special joy. And let's not forget, the most important of them all, Back to the Future, whether it's on VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, or now Adam the Woo owns Back to the Future on Blu-ray. Very, very cool. Look at those. Moment of quietness now for my favorite trilogy of all time, Back to the Future. Bam, bam, bam. Happy Hump Day with DVDs that are now even more HD versions than DVDs because they're Blu-rays. I cannot wrap my head around the format version of HD-edness known as Blu-ray. I'm going to go. I have some stuff to do today. Probably going to go to the park and film some stuff. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be heading out of the Orange County area, heading up to Los Angeles today and tomorrow. The next couple of days, I'm going to be in Los Angeles doing some stuff, hopefully in that area. Traffic is really not the funnest thing in Los Angeles. But I'm going to brave it anyway because I have videos to film. I have adventures to go on. And one of those adventures coming up very soon, me and Justin Scard, remind Justin Scard that me and him need to get together and complete and finish Back to the Future Part 3. Filming locations coming very soon. You can also see another Back to the Future video I did. Me and Justin Scard just happened to be at the Twin Pines Mall, which is the Puente Hills Mall. There was actually a recreation DeLorean there one night. It was kind of a bucket list thing that happened to me sporadically. Right place at the right time. Just look up Back to the Future Busted in your search bar on YouTube. And you can see that fantastic once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I was in the right place at the right time, Back to the Future fan, maybe one of the biggest Back to the Future fans in the world, just so happened to see a time machine, DeLorean, driving through the Twin Pines Mall. Absolutely amazing. I love Back to the Future. I love it. That's enough about me. Let's talk about you. So you do love Back to the Future. Awesome. Kindred spirits. Have a great day.